you can pass a challenge in a week, you can pass a challenge in a couple of days. But the only thing is, how sustainable is that once you become funded and once you do pass, how sustainable is that kind of trading? And I think by you showing that you've done it in 4 months, which is a sustainable amount of time, just shows your maturity as a trader. Now you've gone through the past where you've blown accounts with not having stop losses and things like that, to now you're actually taking your time and you're doing much more sustainable trading. So hi traders. Well, thank you to Jesse, a funded trader of ours, to come on with me and just talk about his new funded account, talk about some tips and tricks for everybody that is looking to start a Fivers evaluation. So thank you, Jesse, for coming on. How's everything going?
It's going good. Thank you for having me. Glad to be here. Glad to be funded and have
Good
everything going
stuff.
well.
Yeah, you're in the US now, so it's either really early or really late. It's really early, you
So
know?
actually, I was in the US. I'm in Budapest right now in Hungary. I'm traveling,
Oh, nice.
but yeah, I reside in the US. So right now it would be 4:30, 4:45, something like that in the morning.
How long have you been traveling for?
I got here yesterday. I'll be here for a while. I'm just gonna start traveling Europe and traveling all over the world with the funded accounts and the profits that I make with that.
Wow, that's good. That sounds like fun, man. Fair play.
As well.
Okay. So give us a little bit of your story, how you got into trading, what
Yeah.
what what made you get into trading, and we'll take it from there.
So I was in high school. I just graduated high school. I was in high school. It was around May 10th, 2021 when I started. I was 15 years old, I believe. And it was during like that COVID. No, it was right after COVID, during that GameStop run when
Mm,
AMC, GameStop, everything was moving. And I opened up a demo account on Webull. I think it was called Webull or something like that.
yeah.
And I bought you know, paper traded something, GameStop, I believe, and it went up a bunch. I made a loads of profits, and that's what got me hooked. But it got me hooked for the wrong reason because I went to all these trades with no risk management.
Mm.
I don't know I forget what the lot size was, but my risk to reward ratio was like I was risking like 5% to make like 0.1% or something like that. It was
Oof.
crazy. Then the only reason I actually got into Forex was because I needed to tailor something to my high school schedule. And that was I can't trade market open, which thank God that happened. So when I moved into Forex, now I can trade all these different sessions, all these different time zones. And then that's really when I just focused up. I learned from ICT, I learned from another guy named Joshua Bunker, and those were my two mentors. And then I just honestly stuck with the process for years, almost 3 years now. And then I've been able to get a lot of funding since then.
Fair enough. And was it all just smooth sailing from the get-go or
No way.
no?
No. Um, I made a bunch of mistakes. Some of the simplest mistakes, like just messing up the lot sizes. Sometimes, like if I were to do, I remember I would take market executions and sometimes with no stop loss, no take profit, and I would accidentally short instead of trying to buy it or vice versa. And then I'd mess up all the positions, stuff like that. Trading, obviously, with no stop loss was a big thing for me. Ruined most of my accounts, blew thousands of dollars. All the basic
Mhm.
mistakes that everyone hears about, I made them as well. And I feel like a lot of traders do, especially the profitable ones make those.
Mhm.
So I would just say the biggest thing for me is risk management and just managing your trades well.
What was the kind of last straw where it comes to you making those mistakes? Because we all have made those mistakes. We've all over leveraged and we all make the same mistakes over and over and over again until something happens
Yeah.
and you're just like, you know what, I've had enough of doing it. What was that point for you?
I think this might have been one of my last days when I was a junior in high school, just because you'll get the story. But I was in the
Mhm.
bathroom and I took a trade. And then I was like, no, I'm not going to put a stop loss on it. So I didn't put a stop loss on the trade. I went to school and did all this. And I came back and I was down like 50% of my account. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to let it run because there's no
Oh,
point
yeah,
in
yeah,
taking out
yeah.
now.
Fair enough.
Instead, I'll just like let it run. And then it wiped my whole entire account. I got like all the breaching stuff, all the rules saying like you got to close a position, automatically close, took everything. And yeah, that was for me. I was like, all right, I'm done with this. I need to lock in, find a mentor, and just learn directly from him because my mind was not in the right place whatsoever. And it wasn't going to take me anywhere at all.
Yeah, I can relate to stuff like that, and I think it's a rite of passage when it comes to trading, is making those mistakes. So that's
Yeah.
good.
I think it's like the analogy I would put it is like putting your hand on the burner. You're gonna do it
Mhm.
once. Once you do that, you're never gonna do it again. And I got burned bad, so now I'm like, nope, never doing that again.
It's funny. When I first started trading, I was getting burned, but I keep putting my hand on that burner, until one day it really hurts, and then you're like, you
Yeah,
know what? Fair enough. I've learned my lesson. But
yeah.
okay, fair enough. And once you finish that, that must have been quite hard for you, first of all, losing that account. How did that loss affect you mentally? And did you think about quitting trading, or were you like, no, I'm determined just to get this sorted?
So I knew when I was very young that I didn't want to go to college and I didn't want to follow that like trajectory of that. So I knew whatever the case was, I'm sticking to trading and I'm going to make it work. But specifically after that happened, I think I took like a 3 hour walk on the beach. And it's like, all right, I need to clear my mind. It was like, I think it was probably like a Thursday. So I just didn't trade until like the next Monday. And I just
The
sat there.
next Monday.
Yeah.
Fair enough. That's quite fast, Some people wait weeks and months, I thought you were gonna say, no, I waited ages, but no, you're back in straight away next Monday. Fair enough.
So when I went back in, I moved back to paper trading, and then I went from
Nice.
there and I just did a lot of back testing.
Yeah.
I found mentors, learned from multiple people, and just thought like, yeah, this is not going to work the way I'm doing it. So I need to like, I thought I need to
Good
invest
stuff.
into my education as if I was going to college. I need to take this seriously like that.
That's fantastic. So it sounds like you were quite determined, even though you had those losses, you were quite determined, which is fantastic.
A lot of people, most people are either going through it right now, or they're gonna go through it, or they have, and they're already profitable. It's just you just got to stick through it. There's no other way to say it. If I had
Yeah,
stopped then we wouldn't be having this interview.
yeah, 100%. And let's fast forward to where you're at now. So you've passed the high stakes account. You're now a 100K funded trader with us. I don't know if you're trading other firms either, but so you're 100K with us. How was that process passing the high stakes, and where are you at now? Where's your mind at, and what do you feel like going forwards?
Yeah, so for me, it was, I know this sounds weird, but it was very simple to pass the 100K challenge. The only thing was it took me maybe 3 to 4 months to pass the whole entire thing. It might take me a little bit less, but for me, it was like,
Impressive.
all right, I'm just gonna follow my plan.
Hmm.
I used a copy trade. I had it just on the back end of a copy trade and said, I'm just going to
Hmm.
follow my plan. And then if it passes, it passes. And that's what it did. So I really just, with all my prop firms, when I take these challenges or even the funded accounts, I try not to pay attention to them. Like obviously I'll take a look at like the max drawdown, blah, 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 but I'll just trade my normal account, set up the risk parameters, and then trade those and try not to pay attention to them. And then eventually you pass because you're just focused on your main account and then you hit.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And I really like the way that you just said it took you 4 months. A lot of
Yeah.
people, and I can say including myself, you can pass a challenge in a week. You can pass a challenge in a couple of days. But the only
Yeah.
thing is, how sustainable is that once you become funded, and once you do pass, how sustainable is that kind of trading? And I think by you showing that you've done it in 4 months, which is a sustainable amount of time, just shows your maturity as a trader. Now you've gone through the past where you've blown accounts with not having stop losses and things like that, to now you're actually taking your time and you're doing much more sustainable trading. So that's really, really interesting. Do you want to pull up a chart and just show us
Yeah.
kind of how you do basic technical analysis? I know that the way that you trade, you don't really want to go into too much detail about the specifics, but
Yep.
definitely the outlook of what you look in the market would be really cool.
Yeah, let me share my screen here. I'm just on the euro right now. There's a couple of things that I look for. Obviously, so when I trade ICT, I look for displacements, fair value gaps, liquidity sweeps, stop loss, blah, blah, blah. I'm on the 1 hour time frame right now. And what I just look for here, and obviously I can't go into like the details because it's a paid mentorship, but what I can say is like I always look for liquidity where liquidity is, look for some liquidity sweeps and specific rules. So what I'd look for in the market is basically where are people stops? Like where would people have their stops at? So you look at like a retail
Hmm.
trader. what I look for is like a shift in momentum down and then a bit of a range so we know that's consolidating. So for instance, if I were to pull it back to here, I think this might have been CPI or something like this,
Yep.
but I had this area, obviously nothing happened, but I had this area marked out and I saw, okay, so we have a news candle and then directly after we get a large wick back down, shift in momentum. And then at this point, it was probably around here. It was in a range and I was like, okay, so if we get some sort of sweep up and then we get a specific entry candle, then I would be getting involved in that and I would be willing to do it. And for right now, since that didn't happen and the market's still consolidating, depending on where price action is, I take out I call them like my areas of interest. So right
Mhm.
now, an area of interest for me would be probably, as I haven't done my analysis yet, but for most likely, I would have one here and then I would have one up here for now. And
Mhm.
that's really it for this. It's a simple like 1 hour strategy, but for my
Mhm.
ICT, I do 5 minute, 15 minutes. So I'll show you this. This is really what I want to talk about. It's for the people who don't know, it's 2022 mentorship episode 5, I believe, on ICT. And what I can share is the whole entire thing. So I take these vertical lines and you don't need these, but I use them just as a reference before I do my charting. So right now it's 9 in the morning. But since I'm in New York time, I would just change it to New York time and I trade the morning session. So I drop a level at 8:30 in the morning and then I trade until noon time. That's basically my trading session here,
Mhm.
there. And then I have what we call the lunch hour, which is around here. And then there's like the afternoon session. I barely trade that, not really at all. But essentially, it's the same thing. What I'm looking for in here is I'm marking out on the 15 minute, I'd be marking out swing highs and swing lows. Now, this market isn't really ideal, but for right here, I could mark out a swing low of here because I know that right here, there's a lower low, a higher low here. And then if this forms a higher low, like we get a little push back up, oh, then I know that this level would be confirmed. Vice
Yep.
versa, like if I would look for a high, it would be here as long as we get a lower high to the right side of it. So just looking for essentially swing highs and swing lows on the 15 minute. So let's
Yep.
just consider this one. And then I would drop down to the 5 minute and look for entries after 8:30 because there's usually news at 8:30. And then I would look from 8:30 to noon to take a trade. I really cut it off at 11, but there's certain things I will look for. Obviously, the market is not there yet, but I would look for things like a sweep and then a displacement down. So a large push down that forms maybe a fair value gap or an
Mhm.
order block. And then I would set one of these, like the same boxes I use. So for instance, let's say like fair value gap here, let's say it swept something, like if it swept here, a big one, and then I would look for a retracement into the equilibrium, which would be like somewhere around there, and I would set a pending order. And then usually I target swing lows like we have here,
Yep.
or sometimes a 3 to 1. It honestly depends on the price action, but I don't think I'm going to be trading any of this price action here just because it's like 4 in the morning for me in New York would be. But that's
Mhm.
essentially how I trade. And I trade with this strategy. I trade the Euro US dollar, I trade the Aussie US dollar
Yep.
sometimes, and I trade GU and GJ. And then obviously with the 1 hour time frame strategy, that's more of a higher time frame analysis that I trade EU and AU. But that's basically it. It's very simple stuff. I didn't develop my own strategy. I just learned from mentors and did all this stuff.
Yep.
And it can be hard at sometimes. There's a lot like you can delete all these lines. That's what I do. But when you're first learning, you should probably put the lines on there. But
Yep.
honestly, it just took me years. That's all it was. It just took me a lot of time to develop that mindset. And then when that happens, you just consistently trade it over time.
Yep. Seems very, very simple way of looking into the market and keeping it as simple as possible. That is the best way, in my opinion, instead of,
Yeah.
complicating it too much. Well,
Yeah.
thank you very much. And before we go, have you got like a tip or anything that you would give to a new trader or a trader that's currently going through a little bit of a boom and bust stage that
Yeah.
is trying to get to the stage where they are funded and traveling around Europe?
Mhm. Well, I would say the number one thing is obviously risk management for me, and it's psychology. So if you're not already, read the book called Trading in the Zone. I think there's another one called Disciplined Trader. I read those religiously on like a monthly basis just to get my mind intact. Like I'll give you a specific example. I got slipped out on one of my other firms on a trade that ran so much profit. It was up a lot of profit because I'm funded right now with around $500,000. So I
Hmm.
was running a lot of profit, and then it slipped me out. But I knew I couldn't do anything about it because it's spread out, it came probabilities. I made a little bit of a mistake, but now I learned from it. But all I'm trying to say is, I said, okay, I'm going to take my time, take a break from the market, no revenge trading, nothing, no emotions, and just go read the book. And I came back with a refreshed mindset, I should say. And I traded. I hit a next winner. I hit another winner, and I'm back into just trading normally. So I would
Hmm.
just say you guys need to read your books, work on your psychology because it's not just about taking trades. It's about mindset. Because when you see that running profit, you're gonna just honestly, you're not gonna know what to do. And then same thing when you're down, you're gonna be like, okay, well, if it gets to break even, let me stop it here, maybe 1%. When your take profit could be 3 to 1, whatever the case is. But dude,
Yeah.
it's all in the mindset. It's all in the mindset.
Good stuff. Well, thank you very much, Jesse, and I hope you enjoy your traveling and can't wait to see your growth here at the 5ers. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Hi guys, so thank you very much for watching the video. Now make sure you like and subscribe, and most of all go into the YouTube and check our other content that we provide here at the 5ers. We'll see you in the next one.